Wes here with Supreme Book Dealer, and I want to just say welcome to another installment of Book Talk. And today I'm going to be talking about a question that I think I get asked all the time, but I also think anybody who's an avid reader and loves to read probably also gets asked this question all the time. And that is, what is your favorite genre? And it's not a difficult question to answer, but it is a difficult question to answer. So I'm going to try my best. My favorite genre is YA fiction. I think that reading about younger people, it's just more interesting than reading about adults. Like adult fiction to me, for the most part, with the exception of a few books, but adult fiction is pretty boring, right? And I think YA fiction has complex characters, usually has a complex plot, everything is more relatable. So I just enjoy reading YA fiction. Right now, when it comes to a subgenre in YA fiction, that's when that question gets a lot more difficult, because I think that everybody has like spurts of, I like this genre, then I like this genre. Like right now, my favorite genre is probably mystery. Right, I talked about this in one of my last videos. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a book that I just read. I absolutely loved it. One of Us is Next. I didn't love it as much, but it was still a pretty good book. But I've been on this mystery binge as of late, and I got a couple of more mystery books to get through, and those are just books that I'm really in the mood to read right now. Before this, it was a lot of science fiction books that have a fantastical element to it, and those are the books that I've read before I've been reading a mystery book. But also, another genre that I really love to read, and a genre that I think is highly underrated, is Black autobiography. Black autobiographies are amazing to me. I appreciate them, but I mean autobiographies in general can really be dope. But let me show you this Black autobiography that I read. It's called Man-Child in the Promised Land by Claude Brown. This book was so dope. So I read this in college, right? So when I went to NYU, I took a Black autobiography class, and this was one of the books that we read, but we didn't read the whole book. We just read excerpts of the book. So when I finished that Black autobiography class, I was like, yo, I really want to read this book. So I picked it up and I read it, and I was like, yo, this book is fire. Like, him as a kid was bugging, right? He was getting shot at, he was robbing people, he was getting sent to reform school. Like, this is just an interesting book. And I know a lot of times in autobiographies and biographies, a lot of that stuff is exaggerated, but even if it was still a pleasure to read this book. This book was so dope, it was so fire, and I think that if you like autobiographies, you should definitely pick this book up. Another genre that I like is, I love manga. Like, as you can see up top, I have Yu Yu Hakusho, I have Naruto. Those are like two of my favorite mangas. But I love graphic novels. I just finished reading a little while ago Animal Farm by George Orwell. I thought it was great. Graphic novels are dope because the pictures usually enhance the story, right? And I know that graphic novels always get a bad rap, like it's not actual reading or it's not actual literature. But I always say that is from a person who's never read a graphic novel, because the pictures enhance the story, but the plot of the story is at the forefront of that book. So anybody who tells you that reading graphic novels isn't reading, tell them to go fuck themselves, right? Because it really is. And there are graphic novels that I like. This book made me think more than almost any book I've read this year so far. And it hasn't been many, but I'm up to my 6th book now. And this book has made me think more than any of those books. And I enjoyed looking at the pictures, but the plot of the story, the characters in the story, the conflict of that story were all vastly more important than the actual pictures in the book. So I hate it when somebody says that reading graphic novels isn't reading, because yes, it is. Anything you read is reading. Comic books are reading. Magazines are reading. So don't ever let anybody tell you that this isn't reading, because it is. Those are a couple of my favorite books, graphic novels, mystery books, science fiction, all under the umbrella of YA books, but they are some of my favorite books to read. So another question I always get asked is, do I listen to audiobooks? And the answer is yes, but there's a caveat to that. I listen to audiobooks generally when I'm in the gym or if I'm like cleaning around the house. I've never read a whole book. I've never done a whole book audio. Sometimes I'll put the audiobook on and I'll read the book while I listen to it just to keep me really focused. I used to do that a lot in college. I don't do that much anymore, but I might listen to an audiobook if I'm like walking to work or if I'm in the gym, but I always do a majority of my reading with the physical copies. That's just how I am. I'm old school. I'm not here to discredit anybody who listens to audiobooks. I think listening to audiobooks it's a convenient thing to do. And as long as you're gaining that information and that insight, I don't see anything wrong with it. Definitely books like self-help books, those are great for audiobooks, right? Because you're not really paying attention to a story. You're more listening to absorb the information that's given to you. So I think that listening to those as audiobooks is effective and it works. One trick, if you can listen to an audiobook, a self-help book, and if you can read that book as you listen to it, I promise you will retain that information vastly faster than if you just listen to it, and faster than if you just read that book. Audiobooks are amazing. Do I count them when I do my book count? I do, only because I don't listen to a majority of the book. I read a majority of the book. Now, if I listen to a majority of the book, I'm not really sure if I would count it. I mean, you still consumed the book, but you didn't actually read the book. So I don't know if I would count an audiobook as reading. But I do think that there is a place for audiobooks, and I do think that they serve a purpose, and I do think that they're efficient. I think that they're convenient. Nothing wrong with listening to an audiobook. So there's that. So final thing is, I went to a bookstore with a couple of my friends and we did this thing called blind date with a book, and basically we picked a book that was wrapped already, so we didn't know what the book was. And so I bought this book, I unwrapped it, and it turned out to be Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. Now, I didn't start reading this yet. My friends, on the other hand, they read it and they really liked it. I'm not the biggest romance fan, but what I am a big fan of is books. And if I bought a book, I'm gonna read that book. Very rarely do I not finish reading any book that I start. So I'm gonna give this book a try. I'm very optimistic how it's going to go. Yeah, I don't usually read romance books, but that's okay. I'm open-minded and I'm ready to see where this book takes me. And I'm gonna get started with it today. I'll definitely have some type of review. Maybe not a long form review, but definitely some type of review of this book. I'll let you know what I think about it. And that's the video. What is your favorite genre in reading? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you in the next video. My name is Wes with Supreme Book Dealer. As always, our main goal is to create a culture and a community of people who love to read, because reading is powerful, reading is freedom, and reading can change your life. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Be well and keep reading. Peace out.